background. Stewart profusely offered to turn it off. I kept saying no because I'm an editing genius since I've been doing this for 2 weeks, and I could totally edit it out. But the more I fucked with it, the kind of worse it got. But I don't know. I guess it's passable. The interview is still listening to a bull, but the audio kind of sucks. So anyway, we talk about his views on religion, atheism, God, loving and understanding people, and all those kinds of things. So without further ado, here's my interview with Stewart Huff. Enjoy. Hey, Stewart, thanks for being on.
Hey, you're absolutely welcome. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Okay, now you identify as an agnostic, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's interesting to me because I know some atheists, some people that identify as atheists, think that agnostic is kind of a wishy-washy position to have. But
sure.
The way I kind of think of it is this. People that believe there is a God, right? Or gods, plural, maybe. And then there's people that believe there's nothing, right? Well, then there needs to be a word for people that simply can't answer that question.
Sure.
You know? And I kind of fall into that. I think I fall more into agnostic. I think Dawkins has like some kind of scale, right?
Yeah, the Dawkins scale, 1 through 7. Scale.
I remember reading some of his where he said he's like agnostic. He's like high agnostic, almost atheist. You know, that kind of,
yeah.
I think that's about the way I feel. My personal feeling about the Bible is it's a pamphlet. It's a sales pamphlet. It's trying to get people to join.
Sure.
And it's a great one. I mean, like bicyclists of America should be studying how they did this, you know?
Right.
They got millions, I don't believe the Bible. I don't believe any of the stories. I don't believe any of that. The question of, forget about religion, the question of, is there a creator? I highly doubt it. I mean, it seems like no, but I don't know.
Sure.
So I think that would put me in agnostic, right?
Yeah, technically, because agnostic and atheist addresses two different things. Like agnostic says, do you know there's a God? And you say, I don't know. It's about knowledge. And atheist or theist is about belief, right? One addresses what you know for sure or what you don't know versus do you believe or not believe. And Dawkins puts himself at a 6.9 because he can't say that he has absolute knowledge and knows for sure. But he puts a God on the same level as like unicorns or fairies or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of the way I feel. I can't say I know for sure, but is there a man in robes that's... I don't believe that.
So it's safe to say that you're a non-believer then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is there some sort of thing that we cannot comprehend that might even be science-based, you know?
Sure.
That, a raccoon dies and the cells are regenerated and used somewhere else. Is there some kind of, like, reincarnation of cell thing that is, I don't know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Possible.
Right. Well, were you ever a believer or were you raised Christian? Were you raised in that belief or anything like that?
I was, if asked, my family would say, if someone said, are you Christian? They would say yes,
All right.
We went to church in my entire childhood, I don't know, maybe 20 times. Easter service, Christmas, there would be a thing with some singers at a church.
Right.
That kind of deal. When I, got caught having sex, then they drug me to church, That
it's like a punishment.
Yeah. But literally, like they would say, I asked my parents one time, I was probably, I don't know, I'm guessing 12 or 13. And I said, what are we? Are we like Methodists or what? And they said, we're Baptists, son. But we'd been going to a Methodist church because it was the closest one to our house.
Okay.
I don't think they would disagree with this out of principle. My parents would.
Sure.
I think. But I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I don't think that they're really passionately involved in it on any level. I think they just believe.
Okay.
You know,
are they aware of your non-belief, or are they disturbed by it or anything like that?
My mother, I think, saw some clips of me online or something. I'm not sure, but she made some comments to me the last time I was at their house, and you know, she kind of said, "You probably don't believe, but blah blah blah."
Right.
You know? She's very upset, and I said, you know, I don't want to push it with her, basically.
Sure.
You know? So she said something about, you know, I believe that our relatives are in heaven. And I said, that's great, Mom. That's great. You know, and if that's what makes you comfortable, makes you feel good, then that's great. And, you know, and then later on, you know, my dad and I had a few sentences back and forth. My dad is more of a rational person.
Yep.
I can talk to him about anything. I can talk to him about Trump. He's a Republican, but we can have a conversation about Trump, and my dad does not like Trump, and he won't vote for him. And we can talk about that, and we can talk about things we differ on and not yell at each other.
Sure.
My mother yells on things she agrees with. she's just a very, very emotional person, you know. And like you said about your dad, I want to have a relationship with my mom.
Sure.
So I'm not willing to stand up and yell and scream.
Right.
You know, I just let's get through this. Let's make it pleasant.
Okay.
You know?
Awesome. So this new show that you've been doing for a while is about, would you say it's like about challenging belief systems? Or being open to having your belief system challenged?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Why do you think it's important for people to challenge their belief systems?
Well, I think first of all, everybody should.
Right.
Everybody, atheists, Christians, you know, everybody should challenge their belief systems, not just on religion, you know, but on everything.
Yeah.
You know, I was always taught when I was a young boy that, my dad taught me that you go to high school, then you go to college, then you get a job with a corporation because they take care of you.
Okay.
Because that's what happened to him, and it worked. You know, it worked for him. And then corporations started screwing everybody and collapsing, and then, you know, all this crap, and society changed. But he told me that because it actually worked for him. So why would he think it wouldn't work for anybody else?
Sure.
Know? And then he actually changed. You know, he saw the evidence of what was going on around him, and, you know, and said, yeah, I don't think corporations is the future of America, son. I don't think that's what's gonna be around. I think that's just a tiny example, but I think human beings do not control this world.
Right.
We didn't build it, you know. So if you want to be a rational thinking human being and actually have some sort of intelligent thought in your head, you look at evidence, not your thoughts, not your beliefs.
Right.
You know, I think it's important.
Okay. Why do you think people get so angry when people do challenge their belief systems? What's that about?
That's what this show started with, you know, was me really thinking about that. You know, what is it? You know, and it's not just, that's a thing that I think is important to point out. It's not just the right, politically right. I've seen the left get mad.
Yep.
You know, Stephen Hawking was giving some paper. This is 70s, 70, whatever, 75. I don't remember the date, but he was giving some paper and this is in front of, I think it was at Oxford. It's in front of professors, his fellow professors, right? And he presented this new thing that he'd been working on. And when he was finished, somebody stood up and said, "You are wrong, sir."
Yep.
And started screaming and yelling. You know the story?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's not just closed-minded, toothless rednecks.
Right.
That act like this. It's humans.
Yeah, it's human nature.
It's human nature that when someone says what you believe in your mind isn't correct, then there's anger. We automatically get irritated.
Yeah, it's cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they feel threatened, and it's like a way to backlash. I'm guilty of it too, because I know that I agree with you on, I think, everything. And when I hear you on stage and say something like evolution, I think it's true. It might not be. I know there's an instinctual reaction to me like, the fuck, Stewart? What do you mean it might not be? But then I have to be honest with myself, like, well, if I'm going to encourage Christians to challenge their beliefs, I have to be consistent and admit that he's right. Yeah, you should question evolution, and maybe it isn't true. Maybe it isn't. But since I believe it, it had an instinctual reaction in me, like, what the hell? What?
Yeah.
See, I'm guilty of it too.
And I am too. I'm guilty of it too, because when I originally kind of wrote that line, I thought, oh, I'm not saying that. but then I thought about it like this, like, what are human beings going to discover about this world in 1,000 years? Assuming we haven't killed ourselves by then.
Yeah,
okay?
really. That's a real possibility,
That's a real possibility. But what if 500 years from now, somebody with evidence disproves evolution?
Right.
It's entirely possible.
Sure.
The best I can say about evolution right now is it is when you're asking the question, where did humans come from? That is the answer that we have come up with that has the most evidence.
Yeah, it best fits the current evidence that we have.
Yes. It best fits the current evidence we have. Is not saying that it is 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt true.
Yeah, because that was one of the lines that you talked about in your previous show that said you read in a science book, scientists say the world is round, probably. Is that right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And that was kind of a joke when they wrote that in that.
It was a joke?
Well, I think they were saying it kind of like wink, wink.
Right.
You know, like the world is round, comma, probably. They didn't put ha with an exclamation point after it.
Sure.
But I think they were kind of meaning it as kind of a wink, wink. But I think that's a point. That we know what's the tallest building in the world? We can answer that question because we built them.
Sure. Anything
human built, then we can ask a question and answer a question. But, you know, what's the largest waterfall in the world? Most people would, you know, say Niagara or whatever. I don't even know which one it is.
Angel Falls.
Angel Falls?
Yep.
Where's Angel Falls?
I think it's in Venezuela.
Okay. Well, they just discovered a waterfall underneath the ocean floor larger than any waterfall on land.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
So now the question becomes, if they've discovered that, right, that waterfall. So what's the largest waterfall? And then most people would say, well, the one, I don't forget the name of it. They named it, the one underneath the ocean floor. Well, no, it's not. It's the largest waterfall we've found so far.
Right.
Humans cannot say, we know this about this world. We can only say, so far, this is the largest waterfall we've found.
Right.
You know? To say anything else is arrogant.
Sure.
You know? So that's the reason I decided to say that about evolution. I believe in evolution. I believe it's the answer, the best answer we have right now.
Okay.
Do I believe that it will be disproved in the future? I don't see how it could, but how many other theories were alive in 1300 that people were sitting around going, well, I don't see how you could possibly disprove this.
Yeah, like the flat Earth back then. That's what everybody thought, because that's what it looks like to us.
It looks like.
Sure.
Yeah. So then people, very, very intelligent people were sitting around going, well, we know that's fact.
Right.
You know, and they believe that. And, you know, but if you add in something like, well, right now, we believe the world is flat. We don't know what's coming in the future.
Sure.
We don't know what instruments we're going to have. We don't know, you know, what evidence we're going to find. But right now, that's what we believe.
Yep. And then there's backlash when that idea was challenged for the round Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just like any time that there's a revelation or new evidence that contradicts mass public opinion is met with backlash.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and there's the Flat Earth Society that still exists.
Yep.
And I was on their website, God, probably 15 years ago, just reading it, you know.
Yep.
And one of the on there, which I'll never forget because I loved it so much, it said, we believe the truth despite all the evidence.
Does it say that?
I went back recently. It does not say it now. It did say it 15 years ago.
Holy shit.
It was actually in bold letters at the top.
That's ignorance defined.
It's so fantastic. I almost joined just because I love that sentence so much. It was like, look, we know that all of you have proven we're wrong.
Right.
Like that